Every time I record, the green light comes on. Every time. I'm not going to go into the green light thing. I've talked about it many times. It's settled science. It might not be specifically the NSA listening in on you. I talked about recently how any app that you download to your phone, to download it, you need to agree to all kinds of shit that you probably didn't even realize you were agreeing to. You're giving them the right, and this is everything, like from a video game to a picture editor, a right to make, reply, send, and read your emails and texts. Yeah, no shit. But the green light specifically means that you're someone's listening in. Someone's a third party is listening. And at first, when I first started hearing about this a couple years ago, I was like, oh shit, it's the NSA or whatever. But it could be anybody. It could be any of these apps that you download. So the point, it really doesn't matter. We're all fucked anyway, I guess, is the ultimate point there. I don't mean to flex mentality, but it's fucking beautiful today. We're going into the winter here in Hawaii. Everyone always asks me how it is, like that, that don't live here, my friends back home or people in the comments. I always feel bad because it's like, it's fucking beautiful, man. Things are awesome. It's like, yeah. Back in New England, growing up in New England, like every day here, back in New England would be one of those days that you would have to go outside because it was like you get a couple days like that a year. We have that fucking every day here. Sometimes it gets hot, and that's what I was just saying. We're moving into the winter months now. And mid-October it changes to winter. And that's basically winter again until like May. It's like 6 months winter, 6 months summer. And the only really thing that means is usually in the winter months you don't get those real hot days, and you get more rain. The nights though are also cooler. Like right now, I don't know, it's like 82 or 3 or something, maybe 85 at the most, and it's drizzling a little, and it's windy. Excuse me, it's fucking awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, I guess I just want to fucking flex on how awesome it is. I was looking more at that, reading more reviews of that Joker thing, and I talked about it yesterday, the video on it, not specifically on the movie, but the fact that none of these Hollywood, well, this actually, we're doing an outdoor Schizo rush. Anything where people say it's about the money, it's never about the money, especially with these Hollywood movies, companies that make them. It's, it's mind control. It always has been. But I was reading some more reviews about it, and it sounds exactly like, I was assuming it was, where it's like kind of a takedown. Excuse me, like a takedown on the audience that liked the first one because you liked it for the wrong reasons, chud. Basically, that's what it is. But they're just fucking, they're not trolling the chuds. They're fucking trolling themselves because nobody's gonna see it. So it doesn't really matter. It's like, all they're doing is making a movie no one's gonna see. And people talk about, okay, throwing that money away. They don't like money. They've been saying, these guys, like these movie critic guys, these neurotic type individuals, who I believe are all assets, intelligence agency assets. I've gone into why I think that is. I'll probably go into it again. Why not? You going anywhere? You got a few minutes? Those guys have said so many times, when they talk about movies, it's like Hollywood doesn't care. They just want the money. It's like, how many times can you say that they made this bad fucking shit, right? And they're just doing it for the money. Like, it's like money's a factor. almost every time. There are one of these fucking movies. It's like, they threw more money away. They threw more money away. If it was a real company that relied on making money, they wouldn't be doing that. They couldn't afford to do it 5 years on from The Last Jedi, because The Last Jedi is really when all this stuff started with these guys. And I was into it at first because it was nice, because it was someone talking, someone saying what you feel, what I feel about that whole thing. It's just good to hear someone saying it out loud, because mass media, they're not going to say something like that. They have their own kind of script, but they got a lot of views and a lot of traffic, and they made a lot of money dogging on the movie. So then everything became about how everything sucks. So at first I was like, they have to know that it's more than a company just getting it wrong, just not getting it right. They have to know it's more than that. I mean, 5 years on, they're still doing the same thing. And then I'm like, oh, they know. They're just making money off that. When it comes to some of these guys, it's not really about the money either. I mean, for them it is, personally. But the reason I think that a lot of them are controlled opposition is the same reason why they have controlled opposition with anything that they think the public is going to have an outcry for. And they knew, like around 2016, when they're making the shift, Obama, the Smith-Mundt Act was repealed. Obama repealed that. I think it was one of the last years he was in. He did that. And what that was, is it was a law that said you can't release propaganda as entertainment. If it's propaganda, it has to be labeled as such. Well, he did away with that. So now you can make propaganda disguised as entertainment. And a lot of people who understand how the system works here would be like, well, why does he have to follow laws? These guys don't have to follow. They have to follow laws. It's part of this cosmic spiritual war fucking situation. They have rules they have to follow. That's the only reason why they have these laws for all this shit anyway. Because they have to follow these rules. So the trick is to get you to do it to yourself anyway. They show you, hey, this is what's going on. Now they don't have a certain way they have to show you. They're just required to show you. So they obfuscate it as much as they can. So after he got rid of that act, then they were kind of free to just make propaganda disguised as movies. It takes like, a few years for a movie to get going. So you figure you start seeing these kind of movies around 2016, They all started coming out. And they're going to be a bomb. Even before the Last Jedi thing, I think the first one was Ghostbusters, the all-girl Ghostbusters. I think that was the first real big one. And I remember just watching that whole thing happen, and the way they pushed back against the criticism by saying, well, you just hate women. And I thought that was the weirdest thing ever. It's so strange, and I didn't think anything of it until I started seeing it happen again and again and again. I'm like, oh, there's something going on here. Now, they knew they were going to make this shift. They knew they were going to start making propaganda disguised as, movies. So they know people are going to be upset about it. And they don't want people on their own going to dig into this stuff. Because what they're going to find is that all these media companies are owned by like the same 10 guys, And who are these 10 guys? And what background do they happen to have? And what's their early life say? All of them. So what they do, controlled opposition. They have some like Gary Nerdrotic, I'm just using him as an example. And if you look at all these guys, they all have some kind of weird shit in their past. Like he did time for drug dealing. I don't know exactly what it was. People say it's meth. I don't know. That's not the point. But they all have some kind of thing where they got in trouble. And a lot of assets tend to have this kind of thing. Because so they work off whatever debt they have to the government or the justice system. They get these gigs. And what they do is they're put out there to corral the people who would otherwise be looking into why this is happening. They put these guys out there who can say, oh no, here's what's going on. It's woke Hollywood. And what they do is they get all the people together themselves. And they make sure you don't go looking at the wrong people. You know, everything with these guys is, oh, it's woke Hollywood, these liberal people, but they never talk about where the money comes from. It's always, oh, these companies waste money. They never talk about, you know, the guys who really own everything. You know, they'll talk about the studio heads who aren't really making the decisions, you know, about this shit. It's ridiculous to think that they are. You know, you look at the Kathleen Kennedy, it's like, if this was a real business that was a for-profit endeavor, she would have been gone, like, right after Last Jedi came on. These are passed down. The people, you're not going to ever hear about the real people who are paying for this stuff, the Soros and the BlackRock. And you'll never hear any of these neurotic guys mention fucking Soros or BlackRock. Or all these people that have dual citizenship. We're not going to talk about them. So what they do is they direct the anger of the nerds in the right direction. And they saturate the YouTube space with them, promote them, put them at the top. And whenever they add a new guy, it's funny. Like I remember when Critical Drinker first came out. I remember seeing his videos and I was like, oh, this guy's funny. And I thought I just happened upon him, just some dude, you know. He wasn't really big at this, he was just new. And then I start noticing him appearing on every show. I'm like, oh, we have Critical Drinker on. So I go, oh, okay. And then I noticed that's how it happens whenever a new guy gets rotated in there, like a Shadow or whoever it is. Next thing you know, they're on Geeks and Gamers. They're on fucking Nerdrotic. They're on fucking, you know, whatever all these shows are, where they have like 16 talking squares, and they all just nod and laugh and collect super chats. It's fucking brain rot. And say the same stuff over and over again. You know, and make sure nobody goes off script. That's what it is. And the new people that come out, all of a sudden, it's like they just knew everyone for all these years. Like, oh, you know, so-and-so. Now he's on with Mahler. They're all kind of in the same group, you know, because they're all working for the same guys. And the thing is, you can look at these guys, and they're all repped by, a lot of them anyway, are repped by Hollywood agencies. Same ones that, you know, rep actors. Because you're talking about people that have millions of followers. You don't get to talk to that many people and not be vetted, extremely vetted, and not have handlers that watch what you do. So, like, it's just so silly now. It's like that. The thing with them is, though, they're running out of things to hate. You know, or I thought that. I'm like, wow, they're running out of, you know, what's next? You know, like fucking. I always use the Care Bears as an example. I made a thumbnail a while ago, like a Nerdrotic type thumbnail with the Care. I'll try to pull it up. But it's like they're getting outraged about things that men shouldn't really care about what Disney's doing, what Disney movies are doing, you know what I mean? And it works like, they work together. They put out the shit stuff. These guys talk about it. They keep the conversation moving in the direction they think it should be moving in, and not in one they don't want it to be moving in. That's why, you know, just watching this Joker thing, it's like, you know, even if they weren't somehow in the know, you'd have to be a complete imbecile to not realize that there's something happening here. If these companies were for profit, they wouldn't keep making products that they know are going to fail and losing money hand over fist. What they're trying to do is just change the culture. And what happens is, they delete movies and they get rid of certain ones, or they edit them for Netflix, or they just memory hole some films, do special editions, new updated editions. So what happens is, it's not about right now. It's about 20 years from now. Kids, their whole life, have been with movies that are DEI, right? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Now us, we remember movies how they were. So what the fuck? Everything's got to have a black lesbian in it? What the fuck's going on? In 20 years, kids who grew up on all this stuff will just think that's normal. You're supposed to have a trans person. You're supposed to have the white man is the bad guy and everything, because white people are the fucking worst. You know what I mean? So we're looking at it what the fuck? How can they do this? It's so transparent. But, in 20 years, when kids on the streaming service, every movie will be like this, and it won't be weird anymore. It'll just be how it is. You have the BBC doing even one better and going back and changing history, saying not only were Africans always in the UK, but they built the UK. That's fucking Orwell tier. Craziness. It's craziness. And then if you say something against it, you're the bad man. It's tough. It's a weird... It's funny, but it's also depressing at the same time to be living through this part of history. It's a melancholy feel. Having a bit of deja vu. I went over the problem with melancholy right here yesterday. How it's changed, the definition of it's changed. There's a lot of words like that now. Me and Nia point them out to each other. Mandela words. Where they used to mean one thing, now they mean another. No, I'm sorry. They always meant the definition they have now. We just have bad memories.